Hello and welcome. You're watching from the newsroom. It is no surprise today that the cabinet decided to withdraw the controversial ordinance on disqualification of convicted parliamentarians and state legislators. The move, nevertheless, has important political implications, and to discuss those, we have Liz Mathew with us today. Liz, thank you for joining us. She's the Deputy Bureau Chief of the Mint Bureau. Let me begin by asking you, Liz, the move does stamp, in a way, Rahul Gandhi's authority within the party. What are your views on that?
Yeah, certainly Rahul has asserted himself in the party, but this is not the first time he's doing it. Last time when the government was going through another crisis during that Anna Hazare's movement against the government seeking a legislation against the anti-graft bill, basically. That time also when the government, the Prime Minister and the cabinet ministers were trying to send mediators to have a kind of peace talk with Anna Hazare to end his fast. Rahul Gandhi in Parliament during a 0-hour mention, he attacked Anna Hazare, then his movement, and saying that the Parliament supremacy and the democracy's supremacy, you should not undermine it. Right. So this is that time also. Ultimately, the government had to fall in line. This time, obviously, what Rahul Gandhi has been saying that when the cabinet took the decision of clearing this ordinance on convicted lawmakers or the disqualification of convicted lawmakers, the government did not take into account the views or the sentiments of the party workers as well as the masses. He's saying it in the backdrop of this serious corruption charges against the government and against many leaders in the government. So obviously it will have some kind of public support. So he has raised an issue which nobody, even the allies, even if they wanted in their heart of heart, couldn't oppose. So obviously he made a smart move by coming out in opposition against this ordinance.
Right. How does this, however, make the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and his image look now at this point in time? Also, how do we now view the apparent rift between the Congress party and the government now that the cabinet has withdrawn this decision?
Yeah, no matter how much the PMO or the government and the ministers and the party deny, or even no matter how much Mrs. Gandhi, announced publicly that the party is behind Dr. Manmohan Singh, this is very clear that there has been some difference between the government and the party leadership, especially with Mr. Gandhi. Immediately after Gandhi's denouncement of this ordinance, most of the young leaders, including the ministers, have come out in public against the ordinance, saying that what Gandhi has said is party's view and we also support that. So another section, which is maybe the senior lot, they couldn't express publicly. And it was very clear that that there is a division between the younger lot in the government and the party, and the senior lot in the party and the government. Right. So that came out, and even after this today's development also indicate that we have been told by the people who are close to the Prime Minister that Mr. Gandhi has apologized during his morning meeting between Mr. Gandhi and Prime Minister. But the people who are close to Rahul Gandhi has been saying no, he hasn't apologized. He did not even express regret. Mm-hmm. But what he said was what went behind his public denouncement. Right. That so obviously that rift is still there.
Right. Let's also now understand, would you say that it takes the wind out of the sails of parties like the Aam Aadmi Party or the Bharatiya Janata Party that have been harping on the corruption issue and have also been talking about decriminalization of politics and had cornered Congress on this issue when they had taken the decision to clear this particular ordinance? How do you think it could help the Congress party now that it has been withdrawn?
We are not very sure, how it will help in help the Congress party in the electoral battle which are coming up, because since the government took over, there have been controversies and allegations against the government. There have been many scams, so there is a huge dent, deep dent on the government. The popularity of the government and also the image of the government has been severely damaged by these controversies. Now that what Rahul Gandhi tried to do was, as far as I think, that he tried to distance from what the government has been doing, or the steps the government has been taking, or the flip flops which happened in the government in the recent past. But beyond a point, he can't also distance. The questions will be coming out, where was he? He has been appointed as the party's, or been nominated as the party's vice president in January this year. He is a member of the core committee. He attends core committee. He could raise this issue. He could talk to his mother and oppose this. He didn't do it. Instead, he chose the last moment. His version is that he was afraid that the president will immediately sign, or the president could raise some questions. If the president is returning the ordinance, it will be a major embarrassment for the government. So basically, the people who are close to Gandhi are claiming that this has helped the government and the prime minister from a bigger embarrassment. But as far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, okay, he can speak or publicly claim that he has distance, or the younger lot has distance. But how far the party will be benefited out of it, we have to wait and see.
Would you then say that you may expect Rahul Gandhi to play a more assertive role going forward, given the fact that his public outcry has actually seen the government withdraw this decision? There is a reaction to what he did. Do you think he may play a more assertive role in the coming days?
See, what Rahul Gandhi has been doing, he sometimes, in the issue of this Lokpal bill also, he tried to assert himself. But and in UP, he appeared to be very aggressive. But there has been no consistency. He was in and out. So after becoming vice president, obviously he has been doing work behind the screen, trying to strengthen the organization. It is there, but whether his public face will be that assertive face, or that aggressive front of Rahul Gandhi will be played in the days coming, we have to wait again.
If it does, it will be an interesting arena to keep an eye on. Thank you, Liz, for sharing your views. With that, it's a wrap on From the Newsroom, but stay tuned to livemind.com for more videos.